Hi, this is Jason and welcome back to another video from Effective Maintenance Dashboards. In this video here we are going to cover the creation of tooltips that show a trend. So what we're going to create is a tooltip that allows you to hover over certain values. So we can hover over the total here, the work order by priority, the work orders by days and backlog, and it's going to change the three things. It's going to show you the start and the end in a trend. So it's going to let you see what the start period what the backlog was, at the end what it was, the trend, a little bit of a trend line there, and we're also going to show you the work order backlog count up or down value. So we can see the title there is either down by 11 for this example here. If we go down on this one, we can see it's up by 11, or down by 18. So it's going to change that title dynamically to let you quickly see how much the backlog has changed by. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a file that I've done that doesn't have this tooltip applied. I'm going to create a new page here. So I'm going to call this tooltip. It's always good to start with the name tooltip if you create a tooltip page. And this is going to be backlog trend count. Okay. Now we're going to take advantage of some work we did previously. So if we go to work order details, and we created these mini trends. So we're going to copy that mini trend. I'll leave a link. I'll create a link to this this YouTube video for you to follow through. But we're going to copy those, and we're going to add it into onto our screen here, and then we are going to configure this as a tooltip. So again, I've created a video on how to create a tooltip. Just quickly cover it here because we need to. And so you click on the page, you go to format, go to page information, and you just click this button here, this toggle here, and that turns it into a tooltip. Now once you've done that, you've got these fields here, tooltip fields. So we've got to define which fields the tooltip will be displayed for. So our example here, we're going to display it for site. So any visual that has got site as one of the categories. So we need to make sure that it's got this use as category checked. Most of them will have. Then we're going to use it for priority because we're going to show it on our work order priority graph. And then we need to show it for days in backlog group. Days in backlog group, which I think is this one, or days in backlog grouping. And we are going to show it for work criticality. Work criticality, and it's going to be the work criticality number, not the description. Okay, so this tooltip is going to be shown for those values there. So when we enable it for the visual that has got either site, work order priority, days in backlog grouping, or work criticality, we'll see this page. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to center that for just now, and I am going to go in and create the a card for the first value and a card for the last value. So to do that, I first of all need to create a new measure. So let's click on the work order variables. We just need to click a field in here, and just make sure that when we create a new measure, it is actually created in this table here. Let's create a new measure, and this measure needs to calculate the count of the work order on the first day of this particular trend. So to do that, we're going to call this backlog count. I'll just make this a backlog count first value in range, and that's going to be equal to. And we're going to open that up, and we're going to use a function called first non-blank value. Okay, so this function, if you look here, it returns the first non-blank value of an expression that is evaluated for a column. So it's going to look, we're going to provide it with a column, and it's going to look through that column and it's going to find the first non-blank value where the column is evaluated for an expression. So the column we're going to pass is going to be calculated using another function called allSelected, and it's allSelected dates. So that means we're going to look through all the dates that have been selected as part of this, as part of the query that we're using. We don't want to look through the whole dates table. Again, look at the, I've got a video about the dates table that I'll leave a link to below, but we don't look, that dates table is quite extensive, but we only want to look at the dates that we have used as a filter for this particular visualization. And then we are going to, so that's going to be the first, that's going to be a column we're going to look through, and we're going to evaluate the dates for an expression, which is going to be backlog count. There we go. So in short, it's going to look, first non-blank value is going to go through the list of dates that are passed as that are filtered for the particular visual that we're looking at, and it's going to look for the first non-blank value for backlog count. So this is great because it ignores any dates that have got no backlog. If you've got a date that has no backlog count, then it won't return any values. It'll only return the first value that it finds as it goes through that date, that list of dates. So then we're going to finish this off, and we're going to create the same for the last non-blank value. Okay, so I've copied that and just changed a few, last non-blank value, and then we are just going to go and test this. So I'm going to create a new card. Let's just add a new card here, and we can make it slightly smaller, and I'm going to add, let me just search for the last, or the first actually, first backlog. Now, so here's the backlog count, first value in range. We've got the card. I'm just going to drop that into there, and we will do a little bit of formatting on this. So if we go to the data label, we're going to change that to this grey colour here. We're going to reduce the font size to maybe 20. We are going to switch off the category. In fact, we'll leave the category on. Switch off word wrap. Switch off the background. And let's just change this category. Well, I'll change that again to that colour there. And let's go back to this here, and we'll change this to backlog count, or backlog first day, something like that. And we might want to just format a little bit, but yeah, let's just go and change the category, and we'll just make it slightly smaller. There we go, backlog first date. And then we're going to copy this card, and I'm going to create one. We can use these lines here, and we're going to find the last backlog last value, and we'll put that in there, and we'll call this backlog last date. Okay, so there we have it. We've got these two here. Just align those, it's better. And that's the first and last dates. So the next thing we need to do is we need to put in a title here. So we're going to put a title which needs another new measure, and we will go and create that. So this new measure is going to be a conditional format measure, because it's, if it creates a text title or creates a color, I like to just I like to make it a conditional format and measure. If it returns a value, then just a normal measure is fine. So let's create a new measure. And this measure is going to be a measure that's going to calculate our difference in backlog. But the difference in backlog count is that count? Yep. So first, last, difference text equals. So this is going to need a variable first of all. So the variable fl diff, so that's first last difference. It's going to be fairly straightforward. It's going to be the difference between the measures that are used for the first and the last values here. So we're going to call this one here, if I actually type in last, there we go, backlog count last value in range, minus, if I type in first, IntelliSense should find this, backlog count first value in range. There we go. Great. So that's the first variable. We're going to calculate the difference between the first and the last values in this particular range here. Next, we're going to do a little bit of, we're going to define the title. So the title is going to be equal to work order backlog count. And we're going to leave it at that for just now. And then the next variable is going to be the result. And this is going to be where we calculate the value, whether it's up or down and what it is up or down by, that we can then append to this work order backlog count text. So we're going to use a switch statement. So switch, and we're going to use the true argument. So the true argument, all that does is forces the switch statement to select whichever one of these is, it goes through each of the conditions, or each of the values and results expressions, and selects the first one that it finds to be true. So it's a little bit like an if statement. So the first statement we're going to check for is if the FL difference is greater than 0. So if the value is greater than 0, this means it's gone up, because the backlog, let me just click on here, the backlog count last value minus the backlog count first value. If it's greater than 0, then this means that this backlog count last value is higher, so it's gone up. So if it's greater than 0, we want to then make the output of this measure, this conditional format and measure, the title, which is above here, this work order backlog count, and we use the ampersand to join it to, and then we say is up by, we'll add in a space there, and then we're going to join it to the FL diff. Okay. Now the next statement, if, so well, the switch statement is equivalent of an if. So if that's not true, it'll check is this true? FL diff, just need a comma at the end there. FL diff is less than 0. If it's less than 0, again we want the title. So that's where I created that as a variable, because we're using that title and this FL diff lots of times within this, so it makes sense to create it as a variable. Is down by, so we know it's down because it's less than 0, and then FL diff will be the value. And then finally, FL diff, if it equals 0, so if the diff is exactly the same, then we want it to display the title, and then we're going to join it to has not changed. Okay, and then we close off the switch statement, and then we return, the result. There we go. Okay, so we define the difference between the backlog value for the last and the first. We set up the first part of the title, and then we determine and calculate the second part of the title text and the number. And then we're going to add a new card, and this is going to be the title here. We may need to move these down, probably will. So let's add in a card here, and we can make that card a little bit smaller, and we then find, there we go, there's it there. So let's add that in. So it's quite big just now. We'll go and mess about with this a little bit. So we don't need a category, we don't need word wrap, we don't need a background. We need to change the data label. Let's make it this color here. Let's make the font 15. Let's change this to this one here. And maybe make it a little bit smaller. And we can see, so work order backlog count is down by -11. So we don't actually, we've said down, so we don't need the minus there. So let's just go back and make a quick change here. So if it is a negative number, so if it's greater than 0, if it's less than 0, then we need to use this value here, abs. So the abs statement returns the absolute value of the number. So all it does is it removes the minus. And if we click on here now, that should update that. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so just make sure you put this abs for the negative number, and it just returns the absolute value. And then what we will do now is we'll make that a little bit smaller. That may just fit nicely in here. Perfect. So we'll do that, and then we just need to change the size of the screen. So let's go back in here, page size, go to custom, and we'll start off with the width as being, let's just see what 500 looks like, maybe even 400. So you can play about with this. It's maybe a bit too small, so let's do 450. Yeah, 450. We'll make it 460. Just make sure it's in there, and then the height, that's probably going to be about 250, maybe even smaller, 150. Here we go. Might even just make it slightly smaller. Let's go 125. Right, and now we can look and we can use the view page, and we can click on actual size, and that looks pretty good. So here we have the values here, and we can see that that tooltip has now updated. So what I've done here, just to show you how that is automatically came in actually, is that we've gone into the, selected the visual, we've gone background, hold on. We've selected the visual, here we have it here, and gone to format, and then tooltip is switched on. Now because we had that set up as report page, there is only one report page, so it's gone to auto. Now we could choose which of the different tooltips we've got, and it's probably worth doing that. So we will look at backlog's trend count, and we do that for each one of the visualizations, and we can see that this is now changing dynamically for each one of these. This one here because we've got criticality, this one here because we've got site, this one here because we've got priority, and this one here because we've got backlog. Okay, so hopefully, now one final thing, if we hover over this one here, this is a backlog count in hours, so we don't want to show that. So what we can do there is we can create another one of these tooltips that would show the backlog hours, and simply go in and just choose that. Now if we don't have one which is backlog hours, which we don't at the moment, then we can simply go in and just put in the default, and that will just show the default values that are in the tooltip, which is at the moment is just the site and the number of backlog hours. Okay, this one here, we've set this up before. That's going to continue to show the percentage because that's backlog hours, percentage of the total hours. And again, if you want to see how this dashboard is built, I'm going to leave some information underneath in the YouTube video. But hopefully you will find this useful and you will get some inspiration on how you can use tooltips to display extra information to make it easy for people to understand what's happening trend-wise. I hope you've liked this video and you share my opinion that this is quite a cool feature. If you do, then give the video a big thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. It really help me out. And if you want to keep up to date with any new videos that are released, then subscribe and press the wee bell, and you will get an email and a notification when I release new videos. And that is more or less every week, and that would be much appreciated. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next video.